Lobby 4 had an exciting start with the field going 4 wide into Dunlop Curve. Struggling to find clear road, Daniel GTZ swoops to the far inside of the first chicane and enters 3 wide along Tucotrata and Little Mac. Daniel quickly cuts down on Chompy's lead and makes a pass at the second chicane. However, Chompy and Tucotrata get a much better exit out of Arnage, leaving Daniel in their dust. Near the end of the Mulsanne straight, the field goes 2 by 2 into the second chicane. Little Mac finds a line and takes first, surely worried about the pack of cars behind him. Headed into Indianapolis, Little Mac takes some unlucky contact and just barely stays out of the gravel. Chompy pits on lap 4 and finds himself in a hard battle with Pickmans down Mulsanne straight. Pickmans goes wide, exiting the chicane, and earns a shortcut penalty, which he quickly burns, exiting Mulsanne. On lap 5, VC Most makes an incredible move at Arnage, exiting side by side with Daniel, who then settles the score at the Porsche curves. Never one to back down, VC Most tries to intimidate Daniel by poking his nose out and getting in the mirrors of his teammate. He's unable to make anything stick, but it sure does make for some exciting racing. On lap 6, Chompy and Pickmans burn their penalties, giving the lead to Tucotrata, staying in the slipstream. This would prove to be extremely important, as by the next chicane, Tucotrata gets shuffled down to 4th. The pack gets antsy as they enter Mulsanne, but make it through without any changing of positions. Pickmans is able to get a run on Daniel and positions himself on the inside for Indianapolis to take the lead. Chompy finds himself in second at the end of lap 7 as the leaders enter the pits. Pickmans has the least amount of fuel at just 8%. This drops him down to 4th as he has to fuel longer to finish the race. In 5th, Daniel decides on a different strategy, staying out an extra lap. He pits on lap 8. With potential victory in their sights, both Tucotrata and Pickmans receive shortcut penalties. Tucotrata burns his penalty while Pickmans holds on to his for later. At this point, they can feel the wind slipping away. With an incredibly unlucky move, Chompy oversteers into the wall at Arnage, but keeps his Nissan pointed in the right direction and moving forward. Exiting the Corvette curves, Pickmans gets wobbly, but closes the gap in the Dunlop chicane. At the beginning of the final lap, it's still anyone's race. Tucotrata makes an expert move using the slipstream to get past Pickmans and Chompy down the Mulsanne straight. Chompy won't stay in second for long though, and passes into the hairpin. Pickmans takes a chance in the Porsche curves and nets himself second place with only a handful of corners to go. Chompy tries desperately to hold on to his lead through the Corvette curves and the 4 chicanes, with Pickmans giving it everything he's got to force a mistake. In the end, Chompy crosses the line first, followed by Pickmans and Tucotrata.
Hi Tony, yep, some stunning performances from relatively unknown drivers.
Lobby 3 starts off mostly clean, with a few drivers coming together through turn 1. Most seem to stay on track and continue their race. Quickly, the 3 leaders of this race begin to break away. Headed into Indianapolis for the first time, Mop Racer follows Barr a little too close and gives him a small punt, barely escaping being collected by Drunken Ninja. Out of Arnage, Shifter makes a run on Playlister and completes a pass at the Porsche curves. Despite his first turn incident, Dratched has made his way up to 5th place by the end of the first lap. Following behind Infinite, the pair run wide. Dratched sees an opening up the inside of Playlister and shoots his shot. Dratched has some incredible speed through the Dunlop chicane, putting himself as close as possible to Shifter in second. Shifter surely has his eyes in the mirror now. The large gap he's built himself proves useful, as race leader Cromedix has a big bout of oversteer into the first chicane. Luckily for the Italian, he keeps the car on track, losing minimal time. Shifter follows suit, but isn't so lucky. His mistake allows the pack following behind him to go 2 by 2, jockeying for a position into the second chicane. Even mid-chicane, the group continues to fight. Happily for all, everything stays fairly clean. Gunslinger NovA gets a biggest bump in position and jumps into second using smart tactics and a bit of luck when Dratch runs wide at Mulsanne. Autista XR finds his way up to second before Indianapolis. Perhaps for the first time in Gran Turismo Sport history, ghosting prevents a major incident when Dratch can't find the right line. After falling from second to sixth, Shifter takes the escape route into the first chicane on Mulsanne. NovA expertly squeezes Playlister into Indianapolis and keeps the position through the rest of the lap. At the very last moment, Playlister decides to pit, hopping the curb and ensuring he keeps a slipstream for the next stint. Playlister did an excellent job of conserving fuel with 28% remaining, nearly double that of his closest competition. Autista XR decides to retain his large lead and stay out one more lap. Will that pay off for him in the end? There's an exciting moment as Playlister matches speed with Dratch into the second chicane. Playlister can't get around the outside and tucks back into the slipstream. Teammates Mop Racer and Gunslinger NovA go side by side into the Porsche curves. What follows next is an unfortunate team kill that sends NovA into the gravel. Ouch. With race leader Autista XR headed into the pits, Cromedix spies first place. Unfortunately, Cromedix earns and burns a shortcut penalty, giving first back to Autista XR in Tetra Rouge. A similar scene plays out on the final stints, but Cromedix just can't find the pace.
It's a battle of strategy between these two, no slipstream to make up for the odd mistake. It's a very different kind of pressure.
Ultimately, Autista XR crosses the finish line in first, followed by Cromedix and Infinite. Lobby 2 opted for a 5-lap race due to the number of entries. Barrels gets a very poor start in the Supra, dropping from pole to 5th. Fives earns himself a shortcut penalty through the Dunlop chicane and smartly burns it before the Mulsanne straight, giving a free position to Bonjour Storm and Fubuki. Unfortunately, this puts him directly in front of Binary Theory and Barrels, but they're able to keep it clean. They aren't so lucky going into the first chicane. The powerful slipstream and speed differentials nearly make them go 3 wide. Barrels comes out ahead while Binary Theory and Fives duke it out. Headed into the Porsche curves, Fubuki takes the inside line. Barrels tries to follow Fubuki down the inside of Bonjour Storm, but tips a wheel into the dirt and skims a wall, allowing Fives to move into third.
Oof, well that's the end of Babel's hopes.
By the middle of lap 2, Fives is eyeing up Fubuki's first place. Using the slipstream, Fives gets around Fubuki into Indianapolis, and gets a better exit out of Arnage. Fubuki does not lose his cool and stays within the slipstream of the leader. Once again, Fives earns a shortcut penalty in the Dunlop chicane and burns it immediately. In third and fourth, Binary Theory and Bonjour Storm are going toe-to-toe at the start of the Mulsanne straight. Binary Theory completes a pass in his Mustang, but the Corvette of Bonjour Storm has a better track positioning and takes that position back. This is not the end of their battling, and they continue swapping positions into Indianapolis. Binary Theory appeared to have come out ahead, but goes wide and gives up third, just barely staying on the track and out of the gravel. The front of the pack has its fair share of position swapping as well on lap 3. Headed into the Porsche curves, Fives and Fubuki play chicken. Fubuki yields first to Fives. Lap 4 sees more of the same from the leaders. Using that powerful slipstream, they change positions in the second chicane. Again at Mulsanne. Once more at Indianapolis.
I think that Fives has the pace advantage. If he hadn't kept racking up penalties, I think he'd be somewhere ahead now. Then again, there's no getting away from the significance of slipstream on this circuit particularly.
Again in Arnage? No. Well, yeah, actually, yes. Yes, they do. Into the portion curves, they do swap again.
They certainly are dancing around like nobody's business, and well, let me add that they're both in cars which are amazing around these turns.
Fives earns himself another penalty. Chooses to burn it right away, as he should. That penalty gives Fubuki the win, followed by Fives, Bonjour Storm, Binary Theory, Barrels, and Pamigo 13.
Touch and go for 4 out of 5 laps. You've got to hand it to them, they're very good duelists. This is it, folks, the culmination of the series. Felix comes into this race as the leader by only 2 points over his VLX teammate NovA.
Thanatos and NovA go toe-to-toe. Thanatos is surely hoping to get a good position.
Here's Felix now, 5th, while NovA is in 3rd position coming out into the Mulsanne Straight. Whoever comes out ahead could easily be the champion, but there was always the possibility of a tie. We'll see how it goes.
Even for some of the best drivers in this game, the chicanes at Sarthe are incredibly tricky. NovA gets wobbly exiting the second chicane, with Felix following close behind. Thanatos nearly outbrakes himself going into the Indianapolis corner. This allows NovA to make a clean pass and enter 3rd position. Nearing the end of lap 1, the field is still relatively close together. This could be anyone's race. Lap 2 continues a close racing with Darkrai furiously chasing down Felix. Darkrai tries his best to find a way past in the Dunlop chicane and through the S's. Down the Mulsanne Straight, the two competitors are still battling. Can the Atenza use a powerful slipstream to pass the R8? Ultimately, Darkrai gets past in the second chicane. Darkrai has his focus now set to Thanatos and the Viper. He manages to get side by side with the Viper, setting up a move into Mulsanne. Thanatos doesn't get through Mulsanne cleanly and slams into Darkrai, nearly causing a giant pileup. Darkrai keeps his position, although Felix loses out to DJ and drops 1 place. The incident in the previous corner gives DJ a potential move going into Indianapolis. DJ locks up under braking and Darkrai continues his fight for the podium.
Indianapolis, great for a game of chicken.
On lap 3, Ethan gets a little wobbly around the second chicane. Ethan's poor exit allows Chewy to get side by side, eventually making the pass. A few drivers begin their pit stops while Judoka and Felix continue their battles. On lap 4, NovA takes the lead with a significant distance to 2nd and 3rd behind him. Judoka begins to feel the pressure with Felix right on his bumper. In the Corvette, Judoka leads a train of Felix, Chewy, Ethan, and DJ down the Mulsanne Straight. Felix uses the slipstream to pass Judoka into the first chicane and keeps 2nd place as a good chunk of the field pits on lap 4. This race will determine the ultimate winner of the eSGT GT3 series. NovA and Felix are separated by just 2 points. Whoever comes ahead of the other is likely to be crowned the champion. Unless they fight each other too hard and crash to the back of the pack, that is. At the end of the middle stint, Single Filer manages to find himself out front with NovA getting close enough to touch his bumper. Unable to find a way around, NovA continues to follow Single Filer down the Mulsanne Straight, with Felix nearly close enough to catch the slipstream. At Indianapolis, the three are once again in a battle for the lead. Single Filer begins to feel the pressure and gets a slow exit out of Arnage. This allows NovA to make a pass before reaching the portion curves, putting extra space between himself and his rival Felix.
Gotta say, it's great to see Team Vanquish making waves.
With the championship win still in his sights, Felix follows the leader into the pits at the end of lap 7, as does a majority of the field. The final pit stop is the point where the strategies line up. Drivers hope they've saved enough fuel, and fueled up enough to make it to the finish line. Felix short fuels to 75%, placing him ahead of his competitors. NovA comes out next, followed by Single Filer, who fueled up to 12% more than Felix. NovA uses the power of Slipstream to catch up to Felix in the middle of the Mulsanne Straight, and completes a pass by the start of the penultimate lap. Pushing his hardest, Felix almost destroys his championship attempts out of the 4 chicanes. Moving on to the final lap, Single Filer has found his way into the slipstream of the top two drivers. The championship is still contentious by the middle of the Mulsanne straight. We expect nothing less from the top division drivers in the eSGT GT3 series.
Championship's still up for grabs on the final lap of the last race.
Single Filer makes a move on Felix into the second chicane, completing the pass, but not without locking up his left rear. With this move, Single Filer sets his sights on the leader. NovA, surely knowing that a win is not necessary to take home the championship, goes side by side with Single Filer and lets him through at Indianapolis. Crossing the line first is Single Filer, followed by NovA and Felix. As I said previously, penalties were sorted out by the eSGT stewards, and the final order did change after reviews.
Well, I've got to say, penalty or no penalty, that was a wonderful performance by Single Filer. That's the season over, and I've cooked up a little something to commemorate the season and our new champion, NovA. Dawson's reserve Single Filer came third after penalties, or else NovA and Felix would tie for the championship. Astonishing race from all three, with good showings from JL and Judoka. Thanatos 12th, after that nasty accident. In the second division, Fabuki kept his cool and won big. Autista trounced Chromedix with strategy and pace, giving Puerto Rico e-racing a first win. Another independent winner, better keep an eye on Shorthuda if we see him next season. It's been a hell of a season. NovA, our first champion, only just beating his teammate Felix. VLX have a lot to celebrate, and we hope to see them defending their title next time. Defsun and Judoka within an ace of each other, and Dawson not far behind. Then the gaps become larger until we get to a little group from 10th to 13th, only 7 points between them. Better luck next time, Kinetic. It becomes a lot more spread out from 14th downwards, with a good mix of midfield teams. One Racing, Vanquish, they could be right up there if they bring back Single Filer. A big block of Renegades, some other regulars, looking forward to seeing more from Autista next time. Quite a number of very talented guys here who missed a few races, but to win you've got to show up. And of course some of these guys stepped in to replace drivers disqualified through absence. The top driver for each manufacturer region, NovA, Judoka and Felix, each receive a copy of Formula XD. And if you didn't win that one, you can always get a copy the old-fashioned way. Formula XD is a game in which you take on the role of racing team manager, raise money with loans and sponsorship, spend it on drivers, engines, pit crew and technology, and then direct your team to victory on the track. It won't be easy, as you'll be dealing with cheating engineers, rain and snow, stray animals, sabotage, prima donna drivers, mad bombers, you name it. So if you've ever wanted to live out your fantasy of being a slightly less wanted version of Vijay Mallya, this is right up your straight. Key question is, can you manage?